Mantore79 here, and welcome back to another deck profile video for Cardfight Vanguard Deer Days. Alrighty, let's begin. Pressing the A button now. Loading game and proceeding. Here we are in the main menu, off to edit deck menu. And now in today's video, the deck profile I'm going to be making one for is Keter Sanctuaries, Majesty Lord Blaster, D-BT08. Okie dokie, let's begin. Selecting the deck, entering edit deck, and off we go. Here we are in the edit deck menu, and like I just mentioned before, the deck I'm building in today's deck profile video is a Keter Sanctuaries, Majesty Lord Blaster deck, made up of cards only available up until D-BT08. And alright, let's get started. So first, let's go to the filter settings and to pack. Show only cards from D-BT1, Genesis of the 5 Greats, D-BT2, A Brush of the Legends, D-BT3, Advance of Intertwined Stars, D-BT4, Awakening of Chakrabarti, D-BT5, Triumphant Return of Brave Heroes, Festival Collection 2021, Festival Collection 2022, Pro Pack number 1, D-BT6, Blazing Dragon Reborn, D-BT7, Raging Flame Against Emerald Storm, and D-BT8, Minerva Rising. Applying filter. The filters have been applied, so let's begin. First up, the deck's Grade 3 lineup. And now for the Grade 3 lineup. For the Grade 3s in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck, Grade 3, Majesty Lord Blaster. Skills, first skill, continuous as a Vanguard. If your soul has a Blaster Blade and a Blaster Dart, this unit gets plus 2000 power and plus 1 critical. Active on opponent's turn 2. Second skill, auto is a Vanguard. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, perform all of the following. You can choose to perform only one. First effect, put a Blaster Blade from rear guard into your soul. If the cost and paid, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Second effect, put a Blaster Dart from your rear guard into your soul. If the cost and paid, this unit gets drive plus 1 until end of turn. So for Majesty Lord Blaster, it's the main Grade 3 to ride in this deck. Its skills, the first skill, as long as the conditions of the first skill are met, your Majesty Lord Blaster will then get a continuous plus 2000 power and plus 1 critical. And the best part is, this skill is active on your opponent's turn 2, so the increased 2000 power will make it harder for your opponent to land any attacks on your Vanguard, making this first skill a powerful offensive ability and a defensive ability. Second skill, when your Vanguard Majesty Lord Blaster attacks an opponent's Vanguard, you can pay the cost to not only retire your opponent's rear guards, but to also increase your Vanguard's drive check, giving you a better chance to either to get triggers or to restock your hand. And alrighty, the Grade 3, Majesty Lord Blaster, we have 4 in the deck, 1 in the ride deck, 3 in the main deck. Next up, the Grade 3, Normal Order, Gradia Gradel. Skills, first skill, continuous, Regulus piece. You may only have 1 Regulus piece in your deck and use it a total of 1 time in a fight. Second skill, Order, plays if you have a Grade 3 Vanguard of Persona Ride and you do not ride this turn, activate Persona Ride. Draw a card, all of your front row units gets plus 10,000 power this turn, and you are rewarded to have Persona Ride. So for Gradia Gradel, a powerful order card to play in any deck in the D standard format. If it's skill, when activated while the conditions of the skill are met, you can activate a Persona Ride effect, which is to draw more cards, to give your entire front row, Vanguard and rear guard included, a huge boost of power, and to also activate Persona Ride. Thus, any skills that require you to have Persona Road, this order card can substitute for that effect. And okie dokie, the Grade 3, Gradia Gradel, we have 1 in the deck. And at that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 3 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's Grade 2 lineup. And now, for the Grade 2 lineup. For the Grade 2s in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck, Grade 2, Blaster Blade. Skills, first skill, Auto. When this unit is placed on the Vanguard Circle, cost, Counter Blast 1. If the cost and paid, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. If you do not retire, draw a card. Second skill, Auto. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, cost, Counter Blast 1. If the cost and paid, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or greater rear guards and retire it. So for Blaster Blade, it's the main grade 2 to play in this deck. Its skills, the first skill, when ridden on your Vanguard, by paying the cost, you can retire an opponent's rear guard, and if the secondary condition of this first skill is met, you can also draw a card to restock your hand with. Any second skill, when called, by paying the cost, you can retire one of your opponent's rear guards to give you a better advantage. And alright, the grade 2 Blaster Blade. We have 4 in the deck, 1 in the right deck, 3 in the main deck. Next up, the grade 2 Blaster Dark. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the Vanguard circle or rearguard circle, cost, counterblast 1 and retire one of your other rear guards. If the cost is paid, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, and this unit gets drive +1 until end of turn. Second skill, continuous as a rear guard. During your turn, if your rear guard is retired this turn, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. So for Blaster Dark, it's one of the main grade 2s to play in this deck. Its skills, the first skill, when ridden or called, by paying the cost, not only do you get to retire one of your opponent's rear guards, but if a Vanguard Blaster Dark activates this first skill, you can give your Vanguard drive +1, giving you an increased chance of either getting triggers or to simply drive check more cards to restock your hand with. Any second skill, as long as the conditions of the second skill are met, your rearguard Blaster Dark then can serve as a potential 15,000 point attacker for your front row. And alrighty, the grade 2 Blaster Dark. We have 4 in the deck. Next up, the grade 2 Magic of Alteration Turnar. Skill, auto as a rear guard. At the end of the battle, this unit attacks while boosted. If your damage zone has 3 or more face down cards, cost, put this unit into your soul. If the cost is paid, countercharge 1. So for Turnar, a pretty good card to play in your Keter Sanctuary Nation decks if it's skill. When the conditions of the skill are met, and by paying the cost, not only do you get to restock your soul for later soul blasting, but you can also refund your counterblast for later skills. And affirmative, the grade 2 Magic of Alteration Turnar. We have 4 in the deck. Next up, the grade 2 Normal Order Wisdom of Beginning that cleared the world. Skill, play this with a cost of counterblast 1. If the cost is paid, draw 2 cards, choose 2 cards from your hand, call them the rear guard if the grade of each of them is less than or equal to your Vanguard, and discard them if not. So for Wisdom of Beginning to clear the world, a powerful order card to play in your Keter Sanctuary Nation decks if it's skill. When the cost is paid, you can then check the top 2 cards of your deck to call them into the rear guard, giving you potential front row attackers, back row boosters, or rear guards whose skill you wish to take advantage of later in the game. And confirm the grade 2 Wisdom of Beginning that cleared the world. We have 3 in the deck. Next up, the grade 2 Knight of Inheritance Emmeline. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the rear guard from hand, cost, Soul Blast 1. If the cost is paid, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 unit card with Blaster in its card name from among them, call it to rear guard, or reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. If you put a card into your hand, choose a card from your hand and discard it. Second skill, auto as a rear guard. When your unit with Blaster in its card name attacks, this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. So for Emmeline, a support card for the Blaster series. If her skills, the first skill, when called onto the rear guard, by paying the cost, you have the chance to check the top cards of your deck for a Blaster to help in your later game strategy. Any second skill, while on the rear guard, when the conditions of the skill are met, you can give plus 5,000 power to Emmeline. And the best part is, this second skill is stackable. If you are able to attack multiple times with blasters from either your Vanguard or rear guard during that turn, you can continue to stack more power onto Emmeline, turning Emmeline into a powerful front row attacker for your, making it easier to pressure the finishing off your opponent with. And alrighty then, the grade 2 Knight of Inheritance Emmeline. We have 4 in the deck. And of that, we just about covered the deck's grade 2 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's grade 1 lineup. And now for the grade 1 lineup. For the grade 1s in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck Grade 1 Little Sage Marin. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is rode upon by a grade 2 with Blaster in its card name, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 2 with Blaster in its card name from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. If you did not reveal a card, choose a Wingull Brave from your soul and call it to rear guard. Second skill, continuous as a rear guard. During your turn, if you have 3 or more units, this unit gets plus 2,000 power. So for Marin, it's the main Great 1 to ride this deck. Its skills, the first skill, when ridden on top of by a Great 2 Blaster, you have the chance to check the top cards of your deck for a Great 2 Blaster to help in your later game strategy. And in the chance you fail to get any blasters with this first skill, you can instead Superior Call Vanguard Brave from your soul to your rear guard to serve as a potential front row attacker or back row booster. And the second skill, as long as the conditions of the second skill are met, your Marin then can serve as a potential 10,000 point attacker for your front row or 10,000 point booster for your back row. And alright, the Great 1, Little Sage Marin. We have 1 in the ride deck. Next up, the Great 1, Aegis Mare Dragon, Sentinel, Perfect Guard. Skills, first skill, Continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards with Continuous Sentinel in the deck. Second skill, Auto. When this unit is put on the Guardian Circle, choose one of your units and it cannot be hit until end of battle. If your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from your hand and discard it. So for Aegis Mare Dragon, it's a perfect guard for the Keter Sanctuary Nation. Like any other perfect guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when used to guard with, discarding 1 card from hand, you can block an enemy attack. But it also features an ability unique to all perfect guards in the D standard format, which is, when used to guard with, while you have less than 2 cards in hand, you will not have to pay the usual discard 1 cost, making Aegis Mare Dragon a potential no-cost perfect guard in desperate, last resort situations. And okie dokie, the Great 1, Aegis Mare Dragon. We have 3 in the deck. And next, the Great 1, Blitz Order, Elementaria Sanctitude. Skills, first skill, Continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards with Continuous Sentinel in the deck. Second skill, Continuous, you may only have 1 Elementaria Sanctitude in the deck. Third skill, Order, if your opponent's Vanguard has Triple Drive, this ability can be played without paying the cost. Play this at a cost of, discard a card from your hand if your Vanguard is Grade 3 or less. If the cost is paid, choose one of your units and it cannot be hit until end of battle. Remove this card. So for Elementaria Sanctitude, it's the Blitz Order version of the Perfect Guard. Like any other Perfect Guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when played and by discarding 1 card from your hand, you can block an enemy attack. But ideally, Elementaria Sanctitude works best against opponents who play decks that specialize in having a Vanguard triple drive, for example, Grade 4s, G units, or Vanguards who have their drive checks increased by skill or card effect. Against such opponents, Elementaria Sanctitude then can serve as a potential no-cost perfect guard. And affirmative, the Great 1, Elementaria Sanctitude. We have 1 in the deck. And next, the Great 1, Knight of Old Fate, Cordelia. Skills, Continuous. From the back row center rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is Majesty Lord Blaster, this unit gets all of the following. First effect, Auto as a rearguard. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted. Cost, Counterblast 1. If the cost is paid, choose up to 1 Blaster Blade and 1 Blaster Dark, each from your soul, and call them to each rearguard in the same column. And the second effect, Continuous as a rearguard. If your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 or greater, all of your Grade 2 rear guards get boost. So for Cordelia, she's a support card for the Majesty Lord Blaster. Her skill is, while in the back row center rearguard circle, and the conditions of her first skill are met, you can pay the cost to activate a number of effects, which is, the first effect, after boosting by paying the cost, you can then Superior Call a Blaster Dart and a Blaster Blade from their soul to the same column to serve as a potential front row attacker and back row booster, which combos with the second effect, which is, as long as the conditions of the second effect are met, all Grade 2 rear guards can boost, including blasters, giving you a better chance of powering up your upcoming attacks to help you to pressure or finish off your opponent's whiff. And confirmed, the Grade 1, Knight of Old Fate, Cordelia. We have 4 in the deck. And at that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 1 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's Grade 0 lineup. And now, for the Grade 0 lineup. For the Grade 0s in this deck, we are playing Ride Deck, Grade 0, Vanguard Brave. Skill, Auto. When this unit is rode upon, if you went second, draw a card. So for Vanguard Brave, it's the starting unit of this deck. Like any other starting unit in the D standard format, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when ridden on top of, if you're the second to go in the game, draw 1 card. And alright, the Grade 0 Vanguard Brave, we have 1 in the ride deck. And with that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 0 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's trigger lineup. And now for the trigger lineup. For the triggers in this deck, we are playing Grade 0, Light Dragon DD Honors Amritonia, Overtrigger. Skill, trigger, additional effect. Until end of turn, you also perform drive checks for the battles or rearguard's attack. So for Amritonia, it's the Overtrigger for the Keter Sanctuary Nation. Like any other Overtrigger in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when revealed during a drive check or a damage check, you get 100 million power and draw 1 card. But it also features an ability unique to it alone, which is, when revealed during a drive check on your turn, you can also give all of your rear guards the ability to drive check on their attacks, thus giving you a better chance to get triggers or to simply restock your hand if the increased drive checks. And alrighty, the Grade 0, Light Dragon DD Honors Amritonia, Overtrigger. We have 1 in the deck. Next up, the Grade 0, Blade Feather Dragon, Critical Trigger. Skill, auto as a rear guard. Until end of battle, this unit boosted. Cost, put this unit into your soul. If the cost is paid, choose one of your units, and it gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. So for Blade Feather Dragon, a powerful critical trigger to play in your Keter Sanctuary Nation decks if it's skill. After boosting attack, regardless if the attack hits or not, as long as you don't mind moving Blade Feather from your rear guard into your soul, not only do you get to build up your soul for later soul blast, but you can also give one of the remaining attackers in your field, Vanguard or rear guard, a little extra power to work with. And okay, the Grade 0, Blade Feather Dragon, critical trigger. We have 4 in the deck. Next up, the Grade 0, Daring Knight Saul, critical trigger. We have 3 in the deck. Next up, the Grade 0, Protection Magic Parabi, draw trigger. Skill, continuous as a guardian. If your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 or greater, this unit gets plus 5,000 shield. So for Parabi, a powerful draw trigger to play in your Keter Sanctuary Nation decks for skill. When used to guard with, while the conditions of the skill are met, Parabi then can serve as a potential 10,000 point shield all on their own. And affirmative, the Grade 0, Protection Magic Parabi, draw trigger, we have 4 in the deck. Next, the Grade 0, Invigorate Sage, heal trigger. Skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle, if your opponent's attacking unit has attacked 2 or more times this turn, this unit gets plus 15,000 shield until end of battle. Active if this battle is its second attack this turn or more. So for Invigorate Sage, a powerful heal trigger to play in your Keter Sanctuary Nation decks if it's skill. When used to guard with, while the conditions of the skill are met, Invigorate Sage then can serve as a potential 25,000 point shield all on its own. Ideally, Invigorate Sage is a counter heal best played against opponents who play decks that specialize in restanding and attacking multiple times their units, Vanguard or rear guard. And confirm the Grade 0 Invigorate Sage. We have 2 in the deck. And up next, the Grade 0, Hardiness Tier Sorceress, heal trigger. Skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle, if the attacking unit's critical is 2 or greater, and its critical is increased by a non-trigger effect ability, or its original critical is 2 or greater, this unit gets plus 15,000 shield until end of battle. So for Hardiness Tier Sorceress, another powerful heal trigger to play in your Keter Sanctuary Nation decks if her skill. When used to guard with, while the conditions of her skill are met, Hardiness Tier then can serve as a potential 25,000 point shield on their own. Ideally, Hardiness Tier is a counter heal best played against opponents who play decks that specialize in increasing their attacking unit's critical, Vanguard or rear guard by skill or card effect. And alright, the Grade 0, Hardiness Tier Sorceress, heal trigger, we have 2 in the deck. And with that, we just about covered the deck's trigger lineup. And with that, the deck has been built, card effects explained. For the cards in this deck, we are playing 4, Grade 3, Majesty Lord Blaster. 1, Grade 3, Gradia Gradel. 4, Grade 2, Blaster Blade. 4, Grade 2, Blaster Dart. 4, Grade 2, Magic of Alteration, Turinar. 3, Grade 2, Wisdom of Beginning that cleared the world. 4, Grade 2, Knight of Inheritance, Emmeline. 3, Grade 1, Aegis Mare Dragon. 1, Grade 1, Elementaria Sanctitude. 1, Great 1, Little Sage Marin. 4, Great 1, Knight of Old Fate, Cordelia. 1, Great 0, Wingull Brave, starting unit. And for the triggers in this deck, we are playing 1, Over Trigger, Amritonia. 7, Critical Triggers. 4, Draw Triggers. And 4, Heal Triggers. Okie dokie, deck built, card first explained. Now let's get on to testing out the deck. And here we are, back in the main menu. Going to test out the deck, so let's go over to the Fight menu. And then to CPU Fight. Selecting the deck I just showcased, the Keter Sanctuaries, Majesty Lord Blaster, D-BT08 deck. And selecting the deck, choosing an opponent. I'm gonna test this deck out on, let me see, who would be a good opponent? I suppose I'll test it out on Haru Shinagawa, normal difficulty, and click. The battle begins. Let's get started. Here we are in the fight. We're gonna decide who goes first, so rock, paper, scissors, shoot! Rock the scissors, I win, going first. Drawing our starting hands, I got myself a Blaster Dark, Perfect Guard, Draw Trigger, Order Card, and a Turnar. Not a bad starting hand. Holding on to all normal units and order cards, just redrawing triggers, redraw! Yes, Cordelia, one of the main cards to play in this deck. Going first, draw! I ride from the right deck, Little Sage Marin. Right deck cost, I am discarding. So many choices. I no longer have any cards that can let me return cards from the drop zone, so I can't afford to give up my blasters or Cordelia, so I'm gonna discard the order card, Wisdom of Beginning, clear the world, discard, and ride! Little Sage Marin. That's it for my turn. End of my turn, my opponent's turn. My opponent is going to ride the Great 1. Beneath the Brilliant Light Thegria, starting unit, skill, draw card, and she calls Painkiller Angel and Falcata. Vanguard to Vanguard. I have nothing to guard with, so I gotta let the attacks go through. No guard. She trigger checks. Ah, critical trigger, lucky her. She crits up and powers up. This is gonna be really rough. 2 damage to me. Ow. Damage check first. No trigger. No, not Emmeline. It's a really good card. Second check. Ah, Blaster Dark. 2 cards I could really use. And it's 26,000 power. Again, I cannot guard, so no guard. Ow. Damage check. Ah, Gradia Gradel. Why do I keep losing all the good cards in my deck? Painkiller skill. She Soul Blasts and draws. This is a rough start for me. My turn. Draw! Ah, critical trigger, for real? Ah, 3 good cards in the damage zone and I ended up drawing a trigger. What rotten luck. Fine, whatever. I'm gonna ride from the right deck, Blaster Blade. Right deck cost, I am discarding Magic of Alteration, Turnar, discard, and ride, Blaster Blade. Skill of Marin. Look at the top cards of my deck for a Blaster. Yes, a Blaster Dark. I'm adding Blaster Dark to my hand. Then I'm activating Blaster Blade skill. Counter Blast 1 and retire 1 rear guard. Retire! Then I call Blaster Dark. Call. And Cordelia. Call. That ought to be enough. Or should I call some more? Should I go all in, or my opponent's still at Great 1? And not to mention I'm at 3 damage. I can afford to go all in, I suppose. Calling Blaster Blade. Call. That should be enough. Not activating Blaster Blade skill. Going to battle phase. First up, my rear guard Blaster Dark attacks the Vanguard. 10k. The attack goes through. Slash. 1 damage. Check. Oh, come on. Seriously? A draw trigger? Damage from the first trigger of the turn. Unbelievable. And a draw trigger of all things. Fine, whatever. Boosted by Cordelia, my Vanguard attacks the Vanguard, 18k. Come on, give me a good trigger at this moment. Drive check. Yes, draw trigger. Finally, some luck for me. Draw. Power to the rear guard blaster blade. 1 damage. Slash. Damage check. Yes, no trigger. Safe. Now, blaster blade from the rear guard. Attack the Vanguard, 20k. The attack goes through. Slash. Damage check. Yes, no trigger. Safe. That's the end of my turn. My opponent's turn. I managed to even the score. She rides the grade 2, Harsh Trading Thegria. Skill of the grade 1, searching her deck 4, Falsiata. Calling to the back row. Battle phase, Vanguard to Vanguard, 10k. I can't afford to take much damage, so should I just protect myself now or to let the attack go through? My opponent still has a lot of cards in hand, and she'll be riding the grade 3 in her next turn. I can't afford to take too much damage early in the game, so guarding with the critical trigger, Sol, guard, 25k, over trigger to pass. Here we go, drive check. No trigger, over the card, safe. The attack is blocked. Ka-chink. End of my opponent's turn, my turn. Stand and draw. Oh, come on, I drew another critical. Whatever, I can use it to protect myself next turn. I made the right choice to block the damage, so I ride from the right deck, Majesty Lord Blaster. Right deck cost, I'm discarding, draw trigger Parabi, discard, and ride Blaster, Majesty Lord Blaster. Then I call to the rear guards. No, I can't call anything, so just gonna go straight to the battle phase, maybe? I think I am going to... Yep, just let it go through. I can't afford to call too many cards, so going straight to battle phase. Rear guard blaster blade attacks the Vanguard, 10k. The attack goes through. Slash. Damage check. No trigger, safe. Now, blaster dark, attack the Vanguard, 10k. The attack goes through. Slash. Damage check. No trigger, safe. 2 painkillers out of deck. What 2 less cards to worry about? Boosted by Cordelia. My Vanguard attacks the Vanguard, 21,000 power. Skill of Majesty Lord Blaster. I move Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark into the soul. Blaster Blade, 1 rear guard retired. Blaster Dark, drive +1 and plus 2,000 power and critical. Perfect guard. Discarding for the perfect guard cost a order card. Twin drive, first check. No trigger, Cordelia. Back up in case I lose the first one, second check. Yes, heal trigger! Cannot heal, but I can still power up. But, look at that. Nothing to power up with, so third check. No trigger, yes, Blaster Blade, another good card. The attack fails, but now, that's the end of my turn, my opponent's turn. Hold on. Oh, that's right, my opponent only has 10,000 power. I can still use Cordelia's skill to call Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark. I'm gonna do that. Counter Blast 1, and Superior Call Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark to 1 column. Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark, call! Not activating any of their skills, Blaster Blade attacks the Vanguard, 10k. Guarding of heal trigger. The attack fails, but I made him waste a card in her hand, a 15k shield, so end of my turn, my opponent's turn. My opponent rides the grade 3, Knight of One Who Walks the Path of Light, Thegria. Skill to grade 2, she searches her deck, nothing happens, and skill to Vanguard, she's going to pay a cost to Superior Call, Drilling Angel skill. Moving a card to the soul, she moved a painkiller, nothing happens. Rear guard. Let's see, Invigorate Sage can be a 25,000 point shield for restanding Vanguard, which is the Dark Thegria she can play later, so I already have plenty of Blaster Blades in my field, so I guess I can afford to lose this one, no guard. Sorry about that, Blaster Blade. And now here comes Vanguard to Vanguard, 13k. I guard with Daring Knight Samuel, critical trigger, over 2 triggers to pass. Twin drive, first check. Draw trigger, come on! She keeps getting triggers! Second check. Oh, come on, seriously? Double trigger? And a heal trigger. How does my opponent keep getting so many triggers? She breaks through my guard. Ow! Damage check. No trigger. No, not a Persona, right? Come on. Why do I keep losing all the good cards in my deck? Stand and draw. Oh, come on. Seriously? Another trigger? Why do I keep drawing triggers in my draw phase? Well, my opponent gets in her drive checks and damage checks. So unlucky. Fine, skipping right phase, going to main phase. I move Blaster Dart to the front, calling to the rear guard, Magic Alteration, turn R. Calling a, let's see. Yep, I should call a Blaster Blade, calling Blaster Blade to the rear guard here, and not activating Blaster Blade skill. That ought to be enough, so, nope, hold on. Call into the back row, Cordelia, call. Yep, that's enough, so, going to the battle phase. Boosted by Blaster Blade, Blaster Dark attacks the Vanguard, 20k. Guarding of Draw Trigger, plus 5,000 shield, 23, it's blocked. Now, boosted by Cordelia, my Majesty Lord Blaster attacks the Vanguard, 21k. Skill of Majesty Lord Blaster. I move Blaster Dark, and Blaster Blade into the soul. One rear guard retire, and drive +1, plus power and critical. Another perfect guard, come on! Skill of Aegis my Dragon, discarding a critical trigger for the cost. Twin drive, first check. No trigger, order card, second check, come on. No triggers, seriously? Third check. Yes, over trigger, finally, luck is on my side. I give power to the rear guard turn R. Draw a card, this turn I can drive check with my rear guards. The attack may have failed, but now, here comes Cordelia's skill. Counterblast 1. Superior call Blaster Dark and Blaster Blade from the soul. Blaster Blade, Blaster Dark, call. Not activating their skills. Now, boosted by Blaster Dark, Blaster Blade attacks the Vanguard. 20k. Double guard, that's 43k. No triggers to pass. Drive check. Yes, heal trigger, finally. I can heal. Healing 1 and giving power to the rear guard turn R. The attack may have failed, but now, boosted by Cordelia, turn R attacks the Vanguard, 100 million power. Yes, the attack goes through. Drive check. Yes, critical trigger. Finally, luck is giving me the chance to win. I give all effects to turn R. Critical up and power up, 2 damage to the opponent. Here we go. And boom. Damage check first. No trigger. Second check. Yes, critical trigger, 6 damage, cannot heal. Trigger effects wasted and... Game over, winner me. That was a really nerve-wracking fight. Despite my opponent constantly getting lucky at the triggers and I was getting unlucky at the triggers in the beginning of the game to the mid of the game, I still managed to pull off a win. Got to try out the new cards in the deck, so I got win, attack 100,000 more power, drew an over trigger, 6 turns passed, did a superior call, and retired 5 or more opposing units. I got 2250 VP, total 227,275 VP. Pressing A to go next, leaving the fight and returning to the fight menu. Back to the fight menu, leaving fight menu, going back to main menu. Back at the main menu, opt to edit deck menu. With that, the deck has been built, card effects explained, and I just finished testing the deck out in front of you, so first I want to say is, thank you to the viewers for watching today's video, and to please stay tuned for more videos I plan to upload again in the near future. I also hope you'll show support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my videos and channel. And with that I say, goodbye, and see you all soon!